Chillmonger, Champions Outlawed. I got the wraparound variant cover because I'm not basic. Ewing writing, Kim Jacinto drawing. Best Ewing writing at Marvel. Al Ewing is good. Guardians, the Immortal Hulk. That she proves that she reads the rest of the comics. There's so many times in here where she makes reference herself, an editor's note of herself saying, Riri didn't read the War of the Realms, and so she doesn't know that Miles had this adventure with Ares in that tie-in comic. She probably should have said which tie-in comic it was, but she didn't. But she didn't say that instead of Alana Smith, the editor, or Tom Brevoort, who also made that same mistake by saying something in the Avengers comic, the one with the star brand. He said, well, the last time the Phoenix Force and the Shi'ar Empire met, it was at AVX. It was a tie-in for AVX, not specifically the AVX event. That's neither here nor there. My praise is going to her reading what Immortal Hulk was doing with Roxxon. Power Man was talking about it as if the events that happened in that comic book happen at the same time of the events of this comic book. For anyone who reads Black Panther Intergalactic Empire, or any book that just feels like, wait a minute, how could Iron Man be a million years in BC but also be an AI in the same week? This matters, this continuity of weaving things together, and it looks like the magnificent Ms. Marvel book will also be in continuity with this. It looks like the next week's issue, or maybe it's next month's issue, will have her, spoilers, I'll just talk about what happened at the end, will have her in a hospital bed or at least recovering from her sickness. We were on Discord, not the supervillain Discord, like Discord, the app, talking about whether or not Kamala dies. Why are they calling it Kamala's Law? Wasn't death. She's hospitalized. She's got a healing factor too, so she'll be fine. She'll be fine because she's a superhero, honestly. Anytime they kill superheroes, I roll my eyes. So when they're injured, of course they're gonna return. Um, I went through a whole bunch of things when I just wanted to say that Ewing reads other comic books, and it's apparent in here by mentioning Discord and Captain Marvel, what she did in Civil War 2 of hiring, what's the other hero's name? It was Lockdown, I think was the other one, Becky. She knows these characters are, and it makes sense. Using Cannonball of all people. I'm interested to see what happens in New Warriors now. I'll pick up issue 1. I was already picking up issue 1 because Luciano Vecchio was drawing it, so I had to give it issue 1 a chance. I'm not committing to anything else afterwards because I know better. Sometimes I'm disappointed by books and I'm stuck with 3 months worth because I told my comic book store, yes, subscribe to this one, put it on my pull list, and then I hate it. But my point is, Cannonball is a slime ball, and I want to see what he has to do. I know Nova was friends with him during the Nova comic book when he wanted to join the New Warriors, and we'll see what that relationship brings. So, one of the things that this man over here points out is that your human brain doesn't develop until 25. That hard and fast rule that only Siths deal in absolutes. I hate that. I hate that is used in this comic book. Like, there's so much things you are capable of doing. 16 years old, you can drive. Even if you're not 16 years old, if you're just an adult, drinking and driving, it's not like no alcohol, you can't drive. There's like a 0.8, I think it is, depending on where you live in the world. But there's like a blood alcohol limit where you're allowed to have some, but not the full dosage, or you can't go over a certain amount. Like, limits and restrictions. You feel like when you go on a roller coaster, you must be this tall to ride. Yeah, you haven't peaked. You haven't finished growing, but you just need to be this tall to be able to do the task. So you don't gotta have a 25-year-old's brain fully developed in order to do superheroing. That's actually proven here when their rule is 21 and under. Well, what you just said about the brain doesn't fully develop, your exact words. The adolescent brain. As you can see here, the prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until age 25. All right, well then, superhero at age 25 then. Exactly. It's flawed within itself, but they're the villains, so we're supposed to point them out for being flawed. There's a moment in here, there's a couple of moments in here that were very subtle. Look, it's a hearing, and Eve Ewing is going to flex her knowledge. So she's going to say something about how subcommittee on superhumans. Where was it? Where was it? Where was it? But there was something she said in here that was subtle, where the people that were talking were mentioning this, like Captain America talking about we were the greatest generation, and everyone stating things that happened in the past. However, sometimes it feels like the writer is just putting that in there because they want you to know, oh, I'm a fan, don't worry, guys. That was the case here. And it fit because this is a hearing. This is where all the characters are going to give their input. So it worked. Best Ewing writing at Marvel. So we got this one woman in blue over here who reminds me of that young woman who spoke at the UN, telling everyone, man, you guys are over here barking and going at each other over price tags when my future is at risk, and how dare you. That one. That's who that was. Basically, that they used that person. So Miles and everyone, all the champions are at Kamala's school. I repeat, all the champions are at Kamala's school. You know which champion wasn't represented? Ms. Marvel. She was not seen there. A lot of times we saw in the Ms. Marvel comic book, I'm pointing at my bookshelf because that's where it is. A lot of times we saw that Ms. Marvel, like the Loki situation, her school was hit with some superhero stuff. So now that it's hit with superhero stuff again, another time I'll actually bring up was when it was Miles and it was Kamala, and they were in New York State, and it was during Civil War II, and the book right before Civil War II, and something went down, and hey, Ms. Marvel was on site. The same time that the Madison Square Garden was being occupied by Kohl's, that's her school, she was there. It's obvious that this is Kamala, that Ms. Marvel is at that school. And then all you gotta do is look at skin color and see who fits the description. She's making it very bait, especially because Ms. Marvel wasn't seen during this mission. They call it Kamala's Law after her. It's a little bit too obvious right now that that's who you are. I think they gotta do away with her secret identity. At least, tell the parents or something, but still, it's Kamala's Law. They're in Chicago. They got rats in Chicago, and Riri was talking very young. Power Man was speaking like a young person. Ewing. Best Ewing writing on Marvel. There's a little note here where Wasp says something about how Miles' hair smells. Consider that a seed planted. I'm sure there'll be a relationship between the two of them. That's me reading into this. There was another little subtle thing also where Power Man is going to argue with Ironheart talking about, she said, that's too complicated. Let's just do something simple like me flying you up. And I'm like, wow, where's this going? These two are going to hate each other now? Is that a beef that's going to brew? No, we got the answer to that really quickly. So a dragon appears. Okay, it's remnants from the War of the Realms, like I said. And then they fight. I don't know who this superhero is. I think her name was Locust, but she is avoiding these men with weapons who are on the wrong side. And I don't remember what her powers were. I can't remember her powers. I hope she's bulletproof, but it didn't look like it. And the shots were all missing, thankfully, yes. So while they're underground, Kamala's telling her, hey, look at the other way. Oh my god, it's another explosion. That was funny. The art here was very descriptive. We got to give Kim Jacinto his credit, or her credit, Kim. But then there's this double page spread. Look at Spider-Man right in your living room. It's so good. And so much is happening. And I can tell what Pinpoint's power is if I was a new reader, I know what he does now. Oh, this woman here, she's firing off something orange. So what is her power? I can't remember exactly what it was. But that was beautiful. And I can't wait for more double page spreads from this comic book, especially with all the heroes. A lot of people were represented here perfectly fine, or to my liking at least. So that, this was so good to me. While Ironheart's in the air, you're gonna see Vision boost, like she got a power up. This is her Bit Beast that got awakened, and it's fighting Dronzer versus Dragoon, having a big ass battle in the middle of the sky. And again, the artwork is so descriptive because there's not many words here, but he's gonna do the chi attack that he planned on doing that Ironheart said not to, and then you're gonna see that a portal opens. He punches the portal. The chi goes through the portal. Now, Vision is she's flying so fast that she didn't have time to prepare for it. And I see that she gets caught in that chi blast. I saw it. They drew it. Minimal words. That's how you draw. That's also how you direct. We can give credit to the writer also. But this is beautiful stuff, man. That is universal. And I hope this book does well internationally. Yeah, we get a whole lot of this stuff. And now Vision is the threat. We're going to take Vision off the table after this comic book. She's missing. We don't know what's going on with her. She's going to cause lateral damage. The domino effect ends with Ms. Marvel or Kamala Khan being knocked out and in a hospital bed. I don't know, man. This is such a good book. This is so cool because now the leader is out. And we saw Ironheart with a whole lot of leadership skills. But where's she going to be after all of this? There's so many questions that I have for this comic. The Cradle thing is called Child Hero Reconnaissance and Disruption Law Enforcement. And Kamala's Law is what they're going to be enforcing. Great stuff. Great showing of the power. You see that blue bubble that Ironheart is falling with our friend the Wasp. The Wasp's power were used very nicely here too. I'm just in love with this stuff. What do you think about this comic? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it a good jumping on point? Were you not reading the Champions and now you feel like, well, if they're going to mention things like the Hulk and Roxxon, if they're going to mention War of Realms, and maybe it's worth giving a shot. Is anyone going to read this comic book after me talking about it like this on a Wednesday morning? Or is it still not for you? Like, this was a slam dunk. Oh, we don't have sports anymore. No, we do have sports. We have wrestling. This was a stone cold stunner. Let me use a Chicago wrestler. Do I know any Chicago wrestlers? CM Punk. I was going to say Clobber in Time, but that's a comic book reference. I'll go with Clobber in Time because that's what CM Punk used to say when he entered the ring. When I say stupid things like that, I know it's time to end the video because I respect your time. I'm Chillmonger. Subscribe to the channel. Go watch my reviews on Spider-Man and any other comic book I've done that all appeared on the screen to the left and to the right. My podcast with Comic Book University Professor Bill is long and strong. Watch that.